Right, so we're talking about inflation, and more specifically the Consumer Price Index, or the CPI. So here we've got Consumer Price Index. Our base year is 2008, it's 100. We're saying that the Consumer Price Index is based on the value of a basket of goods that consumers buy. What is in this basket? Anything you can possibly imagine, basically. I'll insert a link to what is currently included in that CPI basket, but I mean it's carrots, it's chocolate, it's new cars, it's tampons, anything you can imagine basically is in that basket. Now, let's say that you buying all that stuff in 1 year, in 2008, cost you, let's say 2,000 Rand. Obviously that's ridiculous, but let's imagine that buying all those different things would cost you 2,000 Rand in 2008. What we say is in 2008, if this is our base year, right, then we're going to say that the value of that basket, which is 2,000 Rand, we're going to set 2,000 Rand equal to 100, right? Then what happens in 2009, if I buy that same basket of goods, I want to know what is the value of that basket. Well, in 2010, the value of that basket is 111.7. Okay? So in other words, the value of the basket has gone from 100 to 111.7. Okay? If that basket cost 2,000 Rand in 2008, what we're saying is in 2008 prices, that same basket would now cost you 111.7 times 2,000 Rand, which would be 2,223 Rand. Okay? So the value of our basket has gone from 2,000 to 2,223, or from 100 to 111.7. And then in 2011, the basket was valued at 117.3, and in 2012 it was up to 123.9. So what was the inflation rate? What was the change in prices? Well, it's easy to calculate. We just say 123.9 minus 117.3 divided by 117.3 gives us an inflation rate of 5.6%. Or alternatively, inflation in 2011 was 5%, right? Which is 117.3 minus 111.7 divided by 111.7 equals 5%. If you get a calculator, try that out, guarantee you will get those answers. So that's what we mean by inflation being a change in the Consumer Price Index. The Consumer Price Index being the value of a basket of goods and services that people buy. Again, on the mind map, I will insert that link to the basket so you can see what goods are included in that basket. Okay, so now that we know what inflation is, there are two different types. One is cost push inflation, the other is demand pull inflation. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about these because cost push inflation has to do with, if we think back to macroeconomics, the fact that when our supply curve shifts to the left, that causes prices to rise. We call that cost push inflation. And when demand increases or shifts out to the right, then prices rise, and we call that demand pull inflation. But we haven't spoken about aggregate demand or aggregate supply in macroeconomics yet, so I'm not going to talk too much more about these two concepts right now, but we will talk more about them when we discuss aggregate demand and aggregate supply. So let's leave that video there and come back for our final video where we talk about how inflation leads to a redistribution of wealth.